Hey guys, this is my leak. This is the My Taught You podcast. Every so often, somebody will shoot me a note and say, My leak, what is it that you do? I am the creator of a company, curlbox.com. It is an affordable, effortless, and exclusive way to try products for your naturally curly hair. It's so exclusive that our list only opens once per month. And if you want to find out how to get it, sign up at curlbox.com. I'm super excited about today's podcast. I am sitting here recording on my new talk to people in person contraption. So I'm super thrilled. I've got Tavia Forbes with me. So this is a home decor podcast. I have Tavia Forbes with me. Say hi.
Hi.
She's always like wondering, what the heck am I doing? And so she's sitting here slightly perplexed.
I am.
She has her notes and she might be a little nervous, but we are going to work with her. So Tavia is an interior designer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Tavia, I have also mentored
for 6 years now.
For 6 years?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So I always say if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I'd definitely be an interior designer.
She's trying to come from my job.
I'm coming
all day, every day.
I feel so good at it. I'm kind of good.
You are good. You have great ideas.
Thank you. I may do it in my next phase of life, but on today's podcast, I'm going to be talking about home stuff with my favorite interior designer and mentee. Before we get started though, Tavia, should we tell them how we met? I'll let you start, and then I'll jump in.
Oh, like you did that day.
Oh, how do we meet?
I was decorating a event space for some book launch party, and when I was done, Miley came up to me and she said, "Oh, you did a great job." I just happened to be standing next to my mom, and my mom literally just handed me over and was like, "You take this."
Your mom. So I had some clients, and Tavia had done the sort of, I think it was the dessert table. Like she had done a bit of like the design. And the first day that I met her, I was like, oh my God, if this girl does not hurry up, I'm going to lose it, because she is a very methodical person. The next day when we finished, I was like, wow, you did a really great job. I just wanted to let you know. And her mother turns to me and was like, I don't know who you are, but you look like you know what you're doing. This is my daughter. Please take her. She has tons of ideas, but she just doesn't know how to get them out. You look like you can help her get them out. And so I was like, okay. And I think I looked at you and was like, be at my house tomorrow night after work at 8:00. And the rest is sort of history. We've just been working together. And so we are going to talk about home style. And then, because this is a career podcast, we are going to talk about what mentorship means, what it means to her, what it means to me. We are going to talk about, her path and the things that she has experienced as, I think you weren't an entrepreneur at that time.
No, I gave in my 1 month notice and quit my job. I was 2 weeks into that, not really knowing what I was going to do, but I was going to try something. And this happened kind of serendipitously.
Awesome. Right. So talking people through sort of like how you went from having a job to being an entrepreneur, what the experience has been like.
The hard experience,
the hard lessons, all of those things we're going to talk about. But I think the first thing, Tavia, that I want to talk with you about, which I think is the hardest part, is finding your personal home style. Like how I think people may have a fashion style or like the way that they dress. But how do they find it? Like I feel like it was difficult for me too, because it's like, do I really want to, I love pink and I love orange and I love yellow, but do I really want to live with a hot pink couch forever? So, or for a long time. How can help us?
Well, they're great ways to get all of those ideas out. And I was talking about personal style. I always say, look at your actual personal style, your outfits, your closet, what colors you like, the textiles, the fashion designers. Their interior design has equivalency in fashion. So you can look to those spaces. And go to different stores. Stop going to the same store that you walk into every day. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I could. Look at other places. There are great design districts in just about every city. And try small boutiques. You'll find interesting pieces and things, and you'll start to gravitate to things that you like. Also, the books that you read. What era is it set in? Do you imagine yourself in that space? Do you like Victorian things that you may have? You may find that you like Hollywood Regency if you keep looking. The internet is obviously the easiest place to do that search, but it's good to go out on foot, try different things.
I think like when I think about my home style, I think about how do you want to feel in this house? You know, do you want to feel safe? Do you want to feel warm? Do you want to feel inspired? Do you want to feel creative? You know, and so when I start thinking about like different spaces in my house, you know, for my bedroom, I like edge all over my house. I like crazy, and it's more I want to be inspired and I want to feel creative. So I want to have an idea, you know, come in the house, you know, have a great wild idea, but my bedroom I prefer very muted, you know.
You've always been that way.
Yes.
You went from saying you wanted canary yellow drapes to me walking into your bedroom and it's completely white.
Yes.
Everything was white.
Yes. And I think
and I liked it. It was so serene. And many people are like that. My bedroom is very muted. Yeah. And I love that just relaxed, airy feel. But you know, we all like a little bit of edge. Molly likes more edge than most.
I do.
So great places to exercise that are in your common spaces.
Okay. Right. So so that is Tavia saying for your personal style. So read books, read magazines. When you see things that you like, something that my mom has done is if you're out and you're in restaurants or you are in museums or you are in hotels, take photos of the things that you like. And so my inspiration for my living room is when I went to London several years ago. I went with Ken and we stayed at the Rosewood London, which was just so amazing. Like they had this like rose gold sort of like hallway, but then they had this like bar, and the bar was like deep velvet couches that felt like this is a couch that you have red wine on with the fireplace. Like I was like, I gotta have a deep velvet couch. It felt like a library. And so I knew that I didn't want dark throughout my house because I personally need sunlight, but I was like, I've got to have this London moment in the living room.
And that goes to how you want to feel in your space.
Yes. I wanted to be transported back to that space in London. I had never been to a bar like that. I had a meeting there, and I remember just feeling so alive, so hip, so forward. So I had just met this girl. She's the editor of, I think it's like Black Hair Magazine in the UK. And I just felt like I knew her and connected with her. And I was like, that warm, dark, moody space with a glass of red wine. That's how I wanted to feel in my living room.
And that's why when we do consultations, we always ask, where have you traveled? What do you love to do in your spare time? It's not all about your style, but who you are and where you've been. And the question comes up all the time. And I love to then research that space for the client and find out why they love it and then how to translate that to their home.
Awesome. Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to talk to Tavia about is like the second hardest thing. So first, finding your personal style is tough. But then it's like, okay, now that I've got my personal style down, what do I do first? Like, where do I start? You know, for those who maybe aren't going to hire a designer, because we're going to talk through some budgets. But for someone who, you know, maybe is first job, second job, or newly married and just really wants to update their space, what should they do first?
Well, we'll start with a few different, we're going to go through a few different brackets, but let's say you have $100.
Okay.
The first thing you want to think about, well, after you've decided what your personal style is, paint is always the easiest and the cheapest thing to do. And you don't have to paint the whole room. We've done fun accent walls, and everyone's kind of veering away from accent walls, but you can add a fun trick to it. Paint half of the wall, paint the bottom half, paint the top half, paint one wall, bring the wall around 2 feet on either side. Do something interesting that's going to change the dimension of the space and how you feel in that space. And then you can start with, at that point, then adding pieces as you go along. Like every month, if you have $100 budgeted, okay, let me address my window treatments next. I can go to IKEA and pick up 2 panels, take them all the way up to the ceiling, and that dramatically changes that room in small doses.
Okay. So I guess this is so Tavia is saying, if you have $100, I was saying, the first thing that you should do. So I always tease Tavia because she's a designer who seems to operate in like limitless finances. She's like, oh my God, I saw the most beautiful thing today. How much was it? And this was when I first started working with Tavia. I just everything she saw that she loved started at $1,000. I'm like, girl, okay. So that's why I'm like, I'm here to help translate this designer speak. The first thing you want to do is figure out your budget, right? What can you realistically spend on your home in the next 90 days and then do the next 90 days? That is how, to this day, I design and work on my house, is that, what do I have? If I have $5,000 to spend in the next 90 days on my home, what does that get me? Sadly, depending on what you like, it's like it doesn't get a ton. But $5,000 can dramatically change your space just by, changing the lighting, maybe changing some of the flooring, maybe getting some rugs that are going to dramatically change the space. So I'm also a mature adult. So I wanted to say, when I first started off, I think my budget was, I was like 30. I think my budget was $5,000.
Yeah,
but that was like total. That was like 5,000 was my budget was for the whole year, for the whole house. And that was, wow. That was when I met 6 years ago. Wow.
We did a lot with that.
We did a lot with that budget.
We did a fun powder room.
We did an incredible.
That cost nothing. It was paint, a stencil, me going insane, and a picture of a horse. Yeah. So
several years ago, when I had a full $5,000 budget to do my whole entire house for the whole year, I was like, that's all I have. I always love a crazy powder room. That's just my thing. If you come in my house now, it is this full yellow and black fabric on the walls, but we just took stark white paint in the powder room, like the whitest white you can find.
Do you remember what the paint color was before?
Oh my God, it was terrible. It was this gross green brown situation. So we just did stark white paint in the powder room. And then we got this stencil and did these hot pink dots that were diamonds.
Yes.
Diamond dots. And that's all that, just doing that changed the bathroom. And then we just hung a black and white picture of a horse over the toilet. And every person that came into my townhouse, there was like, oh, whoa, who did this? And we were like, this is 2 colors of paint, a stencil. The stencil's going to kick your butt though. The stencil's going to kick. And then we started going dizzy with all the diamonds in there, with all the dots, and just hung that picture. And it was incredible. So, okay, we're starting with, if you have $100 over the next 90 days, what do I get? What would you say? Because Tavia and I, we spend money differently.
$100. What does that get? That
$100. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
she overspends.
I'm sorry, I'm stumped.
She's stumped. If you have,
I think the things that you can do on your own, like those that pays for the supplies, that pays for a stencil. Those are the little things that you can actually like hand do yourself. You can of course go out and get a couple of accessories, but you want them to have a good backdrop. So I would say start with the things that are actually free. Rearrange your furniture.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think that is the craziest thing. Like I would say I have learned many things from you, but one of my biggest lessons from you is like, sometimes you just need to move some stuff around. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't have it laid out correctly. are there any, and I have $100 suggestions that I want to say, that I will say too, but you're saying start with the things that you can do for free. Is there any way that you think, like, big mistakes that people make, like with their couch?
Pushing it against the wall.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was like,
float the sofa in the room.
Float the sofa. So float the couch in the middle of the room versus putting it back against the wall.
And the TV on the opposite end.
Okay.
You actually could be, people think that when you look at the floor space, if you see the floor, it looks larger. Actually, no. If you can move around a piece of furniture in that room, it feels larger. And it gives the room more dimension. So float some interesting pieces also.
Okay. And I think something else that I've learned from Tavia, like I've learned all these things from her that she probably doesn't know that I've learned, which makes me a great designer.
That's why she's trying to come from her job.
Is that like, something that she taught me that I never really thought of, was to measure the damn couch.
Yes.
Like you're out there shopping for a couch and you're shopping for it based on price and whether or not you like it. So before you go into wherever you're going to get the couch, take a tape measure and figure out how big your room is. If your couch is damn near touching the tips of your walls, it's too big. It's too big.
And also the other side to that is undersized furniture for a room. Like those little petite pieces in this great big space.
Yes.
Grab some blue painter's tape and a tape measure and map it out. Like see what space you are really allotted for this sofa.
Yeah. So what happens is that, like, if you go online and you decide you're going to buy a couch, take some blue tape and just run it the exact length of the room. Run it the exact length of whatever it says the dimensions are online. So once you have that, place that tape down and see if that works, and that was probably my biggest sort of lesson when I started to shop for my home, was like, it's not about, oh my God, I love this. It's not about, oh my God, there have been many things that I have absolutely loved that I'm like, damn, that's just too small. Or like we did with these chairs in my living room, I wanted that white furry moment. And you were like, girl, we got to get some bigger chairs. Like those are going to look like
little
Barbie chairs in here. So that is something that I learned from you, is to like measure. So rearrange the furniture, float the sofa in the middle of the living room if you can. You probably can. So float it. You said don't necessarily put the TV right across from the couch.
I meant having them on complete opposites. You can't really see it.
You can't really see it.
And you could have a moment where you have an entire wall to do something else with. You can include another piece of furniture, a display piece, another console, bookshelves, those things that are really going to speak to your character. So if your only options are sofa and TV, the room doesn't look dynamic.
Agreed. So I love that. You said $100. You're saying just paint and stencils. That's your answer.
Well, there are a few little things that you can purchase incrementally, but
like what? That's what you're on the podcast for.
Pillows.
Okay.
Pillows, window treatments. You can change your window for less than $100.
And by window treatment, you mean
curtain panels. Yes.
Okay.
And the hardware, you can purchase great hardware from Bed Bath & Beyond for less than $50, and window panels from IKEA for $50 to $60 per pack. We with Forbes and Masters, we've done some fun things where we paint the window treatment and create like a pattern. You can ombre them. You can do as long as you have paint, dye, or a Sharpie,
you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Exactly.
So that is I think another awesome thing that I like, that I feel like I've learned from you, is that many of us, first job, first apartment, or even first townhouse, or even first home, it comes with those blinds, It comes, you should see her face. It comes with those blinds. And I always crack it when I go to people's houses and they still have that tag, like the danger tag on the blinds. But I think that is one of the first places that you can have a moment, is to just like take down your blinds and put up something really great. And like Tavia said, one thing that I did in my very first place that I decided to decorate was do those long curtains all the way up to the ceiling and let them puddle down on the floor. And that just makes any place, I don't care where you live, that just screams like luxury. And it's just like I said, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel rich, girl? Let your curtains hit the floor, let them puddle. Well, yeah, that's just like, I love that.
Lamps. Just don't turn on your overhead. If you can't change a light fixture immediately, you can get a few accent lamps and turn on some mood lighting.
Yes.
It's going to change. You can put a lamp in your kitchen and you can cook to mood light. Like you don't have to, and you won't even worry about, let's say you don't have the best cabinets or so on. It's about the feel.
Okay. So my $100, if you have $100, I feel like a quick fix is maybe changing out some of the knobs, in the kitchen or on some furniture that you already have. If you've got, I love Anthropologie's knobs.
They're so cute.
Yeah, Anthropologie's makes great knobs, so you can change the knobs. I think that another cool thing, one of my favorite places to start if you have $100 is to change the lighting in the kitchen.
Yes, many of you have the fluorescent light.
Yeah, or just the ceiling boob, which she calls it that little like thing that
it has a nipple, like it's a boob.
Stop it.
You can change that out for a nice like track light, and you can have directional lighting in your kitchen.
Yes.
That probably will cost maybe $30.
$30. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like that's a great place to start. I feel like kitchen and bathroom, if you just want to like, I don't know where to start or I don't know what to work on first, like those are places where you're not going to necessarily have to break the bank on these large items, where you can have some fun with the art, have some fun with the paint. Small bathrooms are really great in that sense. So that's, I also said if you have $100, I'm a kitchen snob. For those of you that follow me, I love to cook, but I feel like the kitchen is the first affordable fix. So good glasses.
You've been obsessed with glasses.
I'm addicted to good glasses. Like having somebody come over and being like, can I pour you something? And you have a really nice glass. I think you can get a set of nice glasses for, $40, $50.
Candles. You're obsessed with candles.
I'm obsessed with candles. Candles, mood. You spend $50 on candles?
One day you picked up this candle like you found heaven. Like she was like, I hope you can hear me like smell. I was like, oh my God, she's died and gone to overpriced candle heaven.
Yes, glasses and candles I feel like are a nice touch. And plates, forks, knives. I think having a good dinner set or guest set, I feel it's like I said, how do I want to feel in my house? And it's like, I want to feel special. I want to feel like I treat myself well. And there's nothing like sitting down and having dinner on a really nice dinner set, nice plate, nice fork, good glass, even if you pour in the $2 chuck in a nice glass, it just feels different. Even if your dinner ain't, you pouring, you putting some Kraft mac and cheese on a nice plate, it just feels different. So that's my $100 fix. If you have $1,000, Tavia,
the first thing you need to do with $1,000 is obviously budget. $1,000 can get you very far in one room. So if you lay out your budget ahead of time, you will know what you're doing when you're going into these stores to shop. And for just one blanket fix to completely transform a room, you can address your window treatments, your pillows, your rugs, your lighting, accessories, and that will completely change your room. Just think about keeping your existing furniture and how to like spruce it up. And then down the line, if you want to change out your sofa with another $1,000, you can do that in the next 3 months. But your first thing, you can actually like hone down your style. You can get all of your ideas out with $1,000 in one room.
Okay.
So I think that would be the first thing I would
is if
do.
you have $1,000 to just focus on a room.
Yeah, focus on a room and get the ideas out. Figure out who you are with that budget, and go to different stores. You can pick up so many things online and at big box retailers.
I got to be honest with you. One of the hardest things for me when it comes to design, and I'm obviously so much better at it now, was spending money. It's very like, when you're in this mindset of like, I can get an outfit for this amount, I can get shoes for this amount. It's like, it's so hard to be like $300, $500, $800 for this. how do you get clients to come to terms with the cost of furniture items?
One simple sentence. You do this one time.
Yes.
It is an investment.
Yep.
This is your home.
Yeah.
It's not as disposable as an outfit. You want to sell it. I don't want to say the word like sell the idea, but you are selling the idea of understand the importance of your home. Like how you feel in your space will change how you go about your day. Where you wake up changes everything. So saying that it's pretty much a one-time investment, really, and then you just add pieces after that.
Yeah. I think that, like, for me, you do only have to do it one time. You know what I mean? And I always feel like if you do it one time, you do it right, you know? So it's like, there are some things that I have purchased. I'm trying to think of like, what have I bought that I was just like, probably my current couches. I got them done custom and they were not cheap at all. But I'm hoping that I will have them for at least a decade. And I think that for a decade, 10 years, I'm going to get my money, you know, I'll get my money worth. So it's not like, you know, it's rare that you keep an outfit for 10 years, you know, it's just, and then I think deciding what matters the most to you, you know, does your living room matter the most to you? Does your kitchen matter the most to you? What do you want to spend? So that's what you say if you have $1,000. If you have $3,000,
this is a great budget to do a high-low exercise.
Okay.
Where you can look at a high-end room and you can figure out how to do that within that budget. This is a great budget for one room or a blanket solution for one item. I think the first thing that comes to mind is lighting. Lighting can be pretty expensive, but you can get some great fixtures for this budget. You could, if you change all of the lights in your house to be cohesive and to be glamorous, you drastically can change the room. But this is where you start incorporating great case goods, a great console table, an awesome chair. You can find a lot within a $3,000 budget. But the first thing, if just to remind you, but make a budget, have a plan.
Have a plan. And I think that that's the most important like thing is to know. That's what I said. You were talking about $100, $1,000. I'm like, folks got to know where they stand. And then our final thing is like, if you have $10,000, so if you've got 10 racks to spend, what are we doing?
Well, I would say hire a professional.
Yeah.
This is where you're starting to really invest in your home at this level. And a professional designer is going to tell you or help you spend that the best way. Whether it's invest in a great upholstered piece, that's very important. At that bracket, you should be getting a great sofa if you're dealing with your living room. If you're in your bedroom, you should have a great bed that will last for years. And you can also include statement pieces, art. You forget that original art, really, that's something that's supposed to stay with your family and stay with you for a lifetime. And you can get some great art at that price point. And lighting. Goes right back to lighting and rugs. Those are two important pieces in a room. So upholstered piece, rugs, lighting, and then you can deal with the decor thereafter. But I would say hire a designer because they'll help you spend that money and you'll save money with them.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I think so too. I think that like my reason for hiring a designer after mentoring you and then working with you, I just don't have the time to look for all this stuff. You know, it's like I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have enough room in my brain to store all these different like couch ideas, color ideas, paint ideas, windows, shades, this, that, the third. So now we're going to get into some of your favorite places to shop.
Well, being here in Atlanta, we have some great options, but some of our favorite places where we can find like unique stuff. The West Side Foundry, they're a collective of literally, I think it's like a giant warehouse full of individual craftspeople, vendors, and it's almost like a thrift store, vintage store. And Scott's Antique Market. It happens once a month, and we find some really, really cool things that inspire a lot of designs. If
people are not in Atlanta, because they're not.
Yeah. Big box stores, IKEA will always be a friend no matter how much money you have.
Everybody will like, I don't want IKEA.
Oh, you have not outgrown IKEA.
I love IKEA.
IKEA is great. You can find some great pieces. You have to put it together yourself, or you just opt to have someone else assemble it, which is fine. It's gonna take a little bit of the budget, but well worth it to have it done properly. Once it's assembled properly, it will last. West Elm and CB2, they are, I guess I can form an analogy between them and TJ Maxx. Everyone loves going to TJ Maxx. You get great designer goods. It's for a fraction of the cost. That's what West Elm and CB2 does. They are a lower priced, high fashion, high style vendors. And online, Wayfair has the largest collection of goods. You put in...
That's WAYFAIR, right? Wayfair.
Yes, wayfair.com. And they have a sister site, allmodern.com, if you love...
All Modern. ALLMODERN.com. Those two sites.
Yes. And also Overstock.
Yeah.
So you want to hit those three spaces if you're... And you'll save so much money. And you have a library of tons of items if you know what you're looking for. But you have to go back to your budget and inspiration for those sites to be very helpful. And finding really strange things to work with, rope and paint and Home Depot. Just go through the aisles at Home Depot, and if you're artistic, you'll find a bunch of things to work with.
Okay. Do you still like One Kings Lane?
Yeah.
They,
I think I don't know. I feel like Wayfair and Overstock have done a good job with kind of framing those spaces, but One Kings Lane, they show you what those pieces look like for your particular style. So if you have a style in mind, that's a great place to look for the items that fall in line with that style.
Got it. I think I'm trying to think of even though I'm not a huge fan of all that they do, Zeke Gallery always comes through with the one random thing that you need when you need it. You know what I mean? It's like that glitz, that just a little drop of glitz, but I am not a fan of a full on Zeke Gal sitch.
Yeah.
No.
But you can find great pieces. Go in with a discerning eye. Go
in there with a discerning eye. I'm trying to think if there's anything that you didn't say, places that I really like to shop. I do a lot of like the stuff through you guys, through the designers. And then I do on my own. I do like West Elm, especially for the office. I do like CB2 just for even some serving, some party stuff that I've had. They've got great like platters. My kitchen stuff, I really love Williams Sonoma. Rugs.com. I really like, and what is that other Floor, FLOR for custom?
Yeah. Carpet tiles
that you can change a space. I'm looking around my house to see if that's pretty much it. I think so. Bob Mitchell Gold Williams. Did I say it right?
Mitchell Gold and Bob Williams.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't, but so I like them too. And I think, I love Kelly Wearstler, but I still don't have Kelly Wearstler cash just quite yet.
Most of us don't.
But
we can admire.
I do go on
and
her,
be inspired.
I do. I'm obsessed with her style, and I do go on her site. So I am a big time Kelly fan. So the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Tavia, is what should people know when they are going to hire an interior designer? What do I need to know?
Well, you're first going to be prepared to explore new ideas. They're going to stretch your style. We're trying to get every bit of your personality into a space, and in an interesting way. So this is not someone that's going to take orders from you and say they're going to do what you want to do.
Right.
No, we're trying to push you to another level and elevate your style. You will actually save money. by not making costly mistakes. There are a lot of cases where people go out and buy furniture and they're like, oh, well, I've spent $6,000 on furniture and I have a $3,000 budget for you to deal with. Now, you would have saved and gotten a lot more if you'd given the designer $9,000 to work with.
Okay.
You would have gotten maybe more interesting pieces or
True.
And we also, and I can say, I guess personally for us as a business, we extend we're discounts at many retailers to the client within the design phase. And by the time you've worked out we've finished the budget, the retail value of the room is far greater than what was spent in the room.
Okay.
So you will definitely save money. Another thing, don't be fooled by TV. Like, every project is not high drama, high cost, and trade only.
So you're racing against the clock to wrap 3 projects. You're prepping for a meeting later in the afternoon. All the while, you are still trying to tackle that mountain of paperwork. Welcome to life as a freelancer. Challenging? Yes. But our friends at FreshBooks believe the rewards are so worth it. Let's face it, the working world has changed. With the growth of the internet, there's never been more opportunities for the self-employed. To meet this need, my friends at FreshBooks are excited to announce the launch of an all-new version of their cloud accounting software. It's been redesigned from the ground up and custom built for exactly the way you work. Get ready for the simplest way to be more productive, organized, and most importantly, get paid quickly. The all-new FreshBooks is not only ridiculously easy to use, it's also packed full of powerful features. What are they, you ask? You can create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds. You can set up online payments with just a couple of clicks and get paid up to 4 days faster. We love that. You can see when your client has seen your invoice and put an end to the guessing games. FreshBooks is offering a 30-day unrestricted free trial to my listeners. To claim it, just go to freshbooks.com/mytaughtyou and enter My Taught You in the How Did You Hear About Us section.
I think we can go back to the two ends of what you see on TV. You see like this high drama, like everything costs $100,000 or everything costs $1,000 and we're doing $1,000 budget room. No, we fall somewhere in the middle of that. Okay. We shop in the stores that you shop in. Mm-hmm. We of course have like access to great trade only vendors and wholesalers, and we of course include those pieces in your home. But the designer will help manage your expectations and be realistic about your budget and upfront about your budget ahead of time. Don't say, oh, I have a $10,000 budget and really have a 15, because you also waste time in someone trying to do it for 10 and not being able to.
Gotcha.
So just be upfront about your budget ahead of time, and the designer will help. They will get your vision out.
And then let me help you. Now I'm going to come from the customer standpoint. Because this is what the designers tell you. So this is how I feel, that something that I feel like designers, maybe they don't say it because they don't think about it, because they're not spending their money. But when you think about your budget, you have to factor in shipping and delivery costs, which are exponential when you're buying larger pieces of furniture. So if you buy a $1,000 couch, let's just say, it's not going to land in your living room for $1,000. No.
There's a receiving fee. There's a shipping fee, white glove delivery, depends. Add another $300 to that.
Yeah.
And that's your ship, and then taxes.
Mm-hmm. So think about the tax, because I think a lot of times the tax takes the price up, and then the shipping and the delivery fee, because it's usually a little bit more when they have to hire guys to hoist that into your house. So $1,000 couch could technically run you anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500, depending on what you get. And I think you just have to think about that all the time, because that is the part where I think, just in working with Tavia and mentoring her from the beginning, is that, okay, I have a $5,000 budget, but technically I really had a $3,800 budget when you got through with all the deliveries or even the stuff that needs to be assembled, you know? So that's something else that, okay, yes, I bought it. It was $500, but it came here in a box. Oh, I got to pay somebody to put it together. And I really do think that it's worth it to pay a professional. I think I'm handy as I don't know what. I do. But you get to the end and you got that one screw left, or you get to the end and you got 6 screws left.
Your bookshelf is leaning to the left.
It's like, just spend the money and get it assembled professionally, especially if you're going to make this investment.
Exactly.
Spend the money and get it done correctly. But that was the thing that I think you have to keep in mind, is that it's not really a full $10,000 furniture budget.
And many pieces require assembly outside of IKEA.
Yeah, a ton of things require assembly. So did you have anything else that you feel like people should know when they hire a designer?
I think we covered.
Okay. I think if you're going to hire a designer, I think that, and now she's just staring at me like, oh, really? I think if you hire a designer, you try to know as much as you possibly can about who you are, what you like, and what your like work with me style is, right? Because I'm the kind of person that once I say I'm cool with it, don't show me anything else. Because Tavia, she loves that. Oh my God, I think I found something better. I'm like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, that was an early lesson.
Yeah, like if I, so I try to, when I've worked with a few designers, but just try to introduce them to your style. It's very important, I think, to stay on them because they are artistic and they are designers. And so it's always good to try to set up as best you can some sort of schedule of what's happening, what you can expect, because in this process, there's just a lot of lag time. Like it's like a lot of like high rush moments, when you get the mood board and you see what things are going to look like. And then you're just like, okay, this is taking forever. Yeah. You can order things. There have been things that I have like desperately wanted that are on back order for 2 months. And I'm like, I don't care.
Recently, we got a back order for 4 months and they said that with a straight face.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff that you love takes a long time to come. So it's really just like trying to adjust your expectations. I think that something else to keep in mind is that it is not as fluid of a process as it seems in these HGTV shows. Oh, no. A lot of times you get the paint looked right in the store. The paint looked white when we tested it on the wall. When you swatch that, baby, when you paint that whole room, it's like,
it's purple. Your paint is actually purple.
Yeah, it's like, this is not right, So I think a lot of patience. I think this is me telling y'all all of Tavia's nightmares. I think a lot of things come broken or missing things, and I think that's the hardest thing to swallow is you had your hope set. It was $600 or $400 and it came and it's
in a million pieces. I've literally shaken a box and you hear the stuff rattling.
Yeah, there are many times where you were order things. I picked up, I'm like, oh my God, my mirror is here. And I go to you pick it up and you just hear it rumbling in the bottom of the box. So I think really try to adjust your expectations. Understand that there's a lot of not getting it right the first time, or there's a lot of you thinking you thought you wanted a pink couch till you got a pink couch. You thought you wanted yellow paint till you got yellow paint. And that's just the luck of the draw.
And those mistakes are all a part of the process.
Right.
And some things are happy accidents.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, I love that. So I have something why you need an interior designer. So I will say why I think you need an interior designer. I felt like I needed an interior designer to glue my ideas together. Similar to my like fashion style, I'm high statement. And I was on Snapchat the other day saying how I'm like the queen of statements, like statement blouse, statement this. And one thing that Tavia always reminds me is like, we need something really quiet now. We can't chill out. Like you can't like, we need some wood. We need some metal. Mm-hmm. We need just like, we're sitting in my living room and there's just like this very dry, plain rug that had I seen it, had Tavia been like, this is what we're going to do, I probably would have been like, it's so plain though. But it's like, yeah, you need just a plain moment. Like everything doesn't have to be
loud.
Because
if everything's loud, nothing is.
Nothing is. And I think that's a great statement. So I felt like I needed a designer to help glue my ideas together. I feel like you guys have the resources to find things that I just simply cannot find. I think that, when we were thinking about this house, I wanted a crazy wall. You know me, I got to have a crazy wall. But I didn't want a full on commitment. You know, it was like, a lot of people think this is wallpaper, but it's just paint. It's just stencil. And in the event that I get sick of this wall, just paint over it. You know, so I think that designers, they bring resources, they bring ideas. They are just so helpful moving the furniture around. Like, I mean, sometimes just changing things. That's why I think people need designers.
And while you say that, you can get a designer for an hour and ask them questions, and they'll help you work through your ideas. I've done Skype consultations, phone calls, and so don't think that you can't outright afford a designer. You can afford a designer for 1 hour, and you can get so much information in that 1 hour.
Yes, that's so true. Maybe that's what you do with your $100, or I think roughly, is it like somewhere in the 125-ish per hour, like somewhere around there. I think designers will charge just for, and I'm telling you, the money is worth it, because you just are like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even know that. And that could be helpful. Okay. So I've got this crazy question of, what 3 things take a space to the next level, Tavia? What 3 things?
Crazy walls.
Hand
painted eyes. Wiggles.
Okay.
Just a moment where your creativity just looked like it ran wild. That takes a space to the next level. Wallpaper takes a space to the next level. That commitment to crazy.
Yes. Or just fun or something. Okay. Wallpaper. I agree. It does. Like the wallpaper I have in the bathroom, it's just like, it's still just a powder room. There's one thing hanging on the wall. There's no decor in there.
Just one statement. Addressing the ceiling. We forget about that wall. You
love that. She loves to call the ceiling a wall, and she loves to address the ceiling.
It's the fifth wall.
It's the fifth wall.
You can paint it. You can stencil it. Stenciling is hard. You can wallpaper it. I've tried this. It's also hard.
Yes. She put wallpaper on the ceiling of my office, which I like, in the bathroom. And it's just like this floral. It's so random.
Yeah.
It's just random floral wallpaper in the bathroom.
And
did you have
I love lighting.
Yeah.
A great light fixture.
Sometimes just take the ceiling fan down, take the stock, all the stuff that comes in the home. I'm just
assume you don't.
You don't want it. Like, I don't want that. That's why I'm like, all the lighting that came when I got my house, I'm like, I don't want that. I knew that I was changing all the lighting in my house. And I'm down to just like one ceiling fan that I got to swap out.
Weird.
Yeah. So let's talk about your life, Tavia. What is a typical day like for you? What is a day like for a designer?
It's not all glamorous, unfortunately.
Look at her. She's all trying to
I'm sad now. No, a lot of it is logistics, scheduling, contacting your clients, letting them know what's going on, setting up for installs, trying to get a team of people together, managing your contractors. So there is a lot of busy work.
It's not all picking fabrics.
No. Those are the fun days. And being alert all the time, because if you're passively moving through your day, you just miss inspiration. So while you're doing all of that and you're trying to schedule, you're at the side of your computer looking to see what else is out there. So that's our typical day. A lot of busy work. Then we have our shopping days, which are surprisingly exhausting. But still a lot of fun. And
that's your day.
Yeah,
so Tavia recently partnered up. So she had been working on her own. And I think this is just a great conversation that you didn't know I was going to talk about, but it just came to me of like, a lot of people sometimes don't want to partner up because they want all the shine, or they feel like it's all about them. What made you decide and feel okay with taking yourself as an independent designer and becoming Forbes Ambassadors and working with a partner?
there's this notion that there are independent designers. You can't do this by yourself. It's a lot of work to get a space to completion. And so having someone there, especially someone that is that has different strengths, everyone is it's so different, to help in the design process. You have someone to talk through your ideas with, to elevate your ideas and bounce ideas off of, and you just move through projects so much faster. And I know that was a struggle for me, getting through a project fast enough to move on to the next one or to take on another. So when you have another designer, someone that you're eye to eye with, and have the same skill set and the same confidence in your style, you move through projects at rapid speed. Sometimes things that would take you months take days. It depends on it's of course it's case-based, project to project, but and having someone there for the not so great days,
right, when your clients are going the hell off on you.
Yes, at least you have someone sitting next to you.
right. And I know some people it's like, how do you manage the sort of I work solo, because I feel like I'm very decided, very aggressive. And it's like, what sort of finesse do you have to have, or what sort of mindset do you put yourself in when you are working with a partner who does have skills as strong as you do? I would think about like when you feel right, how do you manage so that you aren't falling out? And I think that's a lot of people's toughest things when it comes to partnering, especially women. It's like, what kind of mindset do you put yourself in where it's like, okay, I'm gonna let her have this one, or I'm gonna take this one, or this is what I stand, or this is what I'm sure about. Like what kind of mindset?
Well, the first thing is emotional maturity.
Okay.
And it's okay that one person's right sometimes and the other is wrong.
Yeah.
And being able to have a conversation about that.
Or both of you are right. It's just different.
Exactly. Or it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a step back right now and I'm going to let you get your idea out and you do that. And then, it becomes a strange balance, but you find that groove, and it's hard at first. And of course you're like, no, but I want it this way.
Yeah.
But compromise, communication, and knowing that you have to both parties should try to always be the bigger person in the situation. Like, you take the high road as often as you can. And you know what the high road looks like.
Yeah, you know it.
You know it. Most people, you try not to do it, but you know what it looks like. Take the high road.
Yeah.
Take the L, or someone has to take the L for the team sometimes.
Right.
You raise your hand and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. It's my turn.
Yeah.
And have fun together. It's not, many people do have business partners. They don't necessarily want to see them after hours or so on, but you should also be friends, and laugh as much as possible.
Sounds like a marriage.
You got a date.
I'm like, this sounds like the recipe for a good relationship. I think it's all the same, of like,
all relationships are the same. Friendships, partnerships, your spouse. It should be symbiotic. You give what you get, and it goes back and forth, and you just have to feel valued.
Everybody wants to feel valued on the team. Okay. So let's get into some lessons. What has been your greatest lesson to date?
From a business standpoint, not having a clear and strict financial goal and plan from the beginning.
Look at me. I'm just sitting here like, I wish y'all could see me. I'm just rolling my eyes all over my head because I say this year after year.
Yes. And you're right. Always, whatever.
I don't need to be right, but has been.
Yeah, it's you especially when you get into a career that's creative. It's so easy to get lost in la la
when
land.
Someone's not telling you this is your salary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I don't know what, and having that strict financial goal and plan helps you come up with a better pricing strategy. Helps you stay on task, on budget, on time, and because if you don't have that accountability, you just go off and do whatever.
I gotta make my goal, or what to turn down.
Yeah.
In this amount of time, this is not gonna help me hit my goal.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
You can say thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest lesson. I think it's the first one you should learn, and it's so easily lost
Yeah.
to many of us because you're having so much fun
doing
this.
Working for yourself,
Yeah.
being free, looking up at tax time, being like, I only made what?
Exactly.
That's the thing. I am big on setting financial goals, guys. Like that is super important to me because even if you have a salary or something, I still like to add, and I do this to myself, what I want to make in addition to my businesses. So, I want to earn X amount of dollars by doing this. I want to like speak and earn this. So you have to put some goals in place that will help guide you and tell you what to spend your time on. So if you're thinking about going on vacation this summer and you're not halfway to your goal, somebody needs to stay home. That's how it's not about, can I afford this financially today? It's like, can you afford to not be focused on your goals right now? And that's the way that I think that people should live their lives is, am I where I said I wanted to be? So, okay, I'm glad. I am very glad that you have that. And personally, biggest lesson today? Is that what you're going to say, or are you just sticking with professional?
This is another, kind of personal and professional thing. What we do is a high level, like customer service business, essentially, and just treat everyone around you with care and consideration. Not for your gain, but just for your integrity.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to translate to dollars all the time, but your reputation. And the hardest lessons are learned when you don't do what's right. It's not what someone did to you.
Yeah.
That's not where you gain your knowledge. It's what you did wrong and how you can be better. I think that was important. And you learn that daily because you deal with so many different people and errors in yourself. So if your baseline is to treat everyone with respect, care, and consideration, you'll go far.
Yeah. What was it that I had a thought? Dang it. What was it? Just as you were saying that about treating everybody with care and consideration. Dang it. How did I forget? But anywho, people love Tavia. Like, I think that is one of her strong suits, is that she just has this incredibly likable personality. And I think when you work in someone's home, she's the person who you're like, oh, let's have a glass of wine when you're done, or let's have this. And I think that it is, about likability, but you absolutely, this is my thought when you talked about the lesson that you get when you don't do what's right. People get mad. I always tell people, you're upset because you got called out for doing what you shouldn't have done. We get mad when we get busted. It's like, damn. But when you did the right thing, then you kind of just like suck it up. But a lot of times we get all mad and defensive when somebody busts us trying to cut a corner. And it's just this thing of take the long route, do the right thing, do it right all the time. And it's a foolproof system. Like, you can't go wrong with that. So that's just the thing, is like, I am constantly on Tavia's case about that, is like, do the right thing. I don't care. Do the right thing. Be honest, be upfront. Don't text message. And I think I've talked about this in a podcast. If you have to deliver bad news, the first way to deliver it is in person. Hey, Miss So-and-so, will you be available for me to come by? Like, you have got to just woman up. You have just got to own it in person. The next way that you communicate bad news is over the phone. You pick up the phone and you let people hear your voice. Do not, unless you absolutely have to, text message or email someone bad news. The context is already in the shitter. And then it feels it feels like you don't care. And so I always say, go get socked in the face, go take the punch. And a lot of times when people are able to look across from you and see your face and see your anger and your disgust, and you're also upset with it, it disarms that person. But people make the fatal mistake of like texting bad news. I'm like, this ain't what you want to do when you're dealing with money, or even when you're dealing, any relationship. You just don't want to do it. Did you have another lesson?
And just being proactive and not reactionary.
Oh God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That's it's very easy to think that you can handle yourself in a crisis or you can fix it or so on. But if you worked a little harder in the beginning to not get into the problem and to have a plan A and B, and I'm still working on this.
I know.
Be quiet. That you solve all the problems ahead of time.
Right. I know. When you first started out, you were like the girl with the bucket chasing the drips. Like, had you just built the roof right the first time, you wouldn't have to be constantly racing in here with buckets to collect the drip. So it's like, it may take a long time, but you need to do it right. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, you kind of skipped ahead on this one. My answer was partnered earlier.
Okay.
Could have covered a lot more ground a lot faster.
Yeah.
Because if you can dull your ego.
Your ego.
In the beginning.
And
people say it over and over. There's strength in numbers. This is not new.
Yeah.
This is not a new or novel thought. So that's something I would have done differently.
Okay. So a lot of people know, I think you're like my most popular mentee. I think everyone's like,
I cut up the most.
Tavia, the mentee. I actually do mentor, not a ton of people, but I do mentor a handful of young women that I believe have the most promise, and that literally are sitting on gold mines. They just need a couple of edits, and you kind of have to stay on them. And so I wanted to talk to you about mentorship, what you think it is, what people may think it is, and like what it truly means to you. Because I know sometimes people be tweeting me and be like, I need a mentor. And I tell people, if you listen to my podcast, it's pretty much the same thing, but having me in your life is just a physical force of like thunder. I think when I first started mentoring Tavia, since her mother asked me to mentor her, I noticed that Tavia, at the time, you were 25. She still is, but she was just so damn spoiled, like rotten.
Not rotten, just a little.
Just rotten.
No, just a tinge.
Rotten. So I said to her mother, I'm like, listen, if you want me to continue with her, you got to stop paying her cell phone bill, Mom. I'm like, at a minimum, this 25-year-old can pay her own cell phone bill. And so I remember the next day I called Tavia, her phone was like clipped off.
Shaking my head.
I gotta
turn back on.
I was like, email me then. It's like, but you did get it turned back on because on your own, because that's what you can do. But that's the kind of mentor I am. I think people think it's more of like a champagne clinking, throwing our head backs and laughing, but it's really just a more
I think the
tough love.
Yeah, and the misconception is it falls somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
You think it's the champagne clinking and all of the fun and games, or everything's really cute all the time.
Yeah.
Or it's very formal and we're sitting down and having meetings about.
Right.
It falls right in the middle. It's as someone to guide you through the muck of your life, and a friend to do so. So a mentor is there's structure, but you have a friend that has chosen to be there and help you, and you try to be open to all that unsolicited, brutal advice.
Yes, look at her. Yeah, because it's coming.
Yeah, and you can't have a thin skin for this. Like,
if you want to be better, because I came across something that you sent me just last week, and I texted to Monet, where it was like, your mentor sees your future, your friends see like your past and your present. And it's like, I'm talking to you as successful Tavia at 37. So I'm not talking to you from when you were 12 or 15 or even today. It's like, I'm talking to you because I see your ability, and I'm treating like it upsets me when you don't honor your ability or you're not working toward these things. And so that's the thing where I will stay on you. Like, how are you doing with this? Like whenever we get together, even if it's here or it's in New York, I'm like, okay, where are you with this? How have you gotten with that? What are you doing better? What are you still working on? I'm just very invested in that way. Because you're incredibly talented. This girl has more talent in her pinky finger than I probably have in my whole body. And the difference is just the discipline. You know what I mean? It's the discipline. It's the goals, it's the habits. There's no reason why you aren't much further than me, but you tackle these handful of things and you're out of here. You know what I mean? It's less about the talent and more about the habits than anything. And so that's the thing that I try to say is that like okay, good. You're a great designer. You've got all these great ideas. Like, whoo.
They're not here to celebrate all the things that are great about you, but to fill in the gaps, see where you're deficient and where you need to grow. And it's also a long process. This is not a quick fix.
No.
Many of us are wired to be a certain way for our entire lives.
Yeah.
And your mentor is trying to just kind of rework and tweak and reroute.
Reprocess.
Yes.
Yeah. And mentors, I think, because I have mentors, like I consider Ken one of my mentors, who was a friend of yours and probably mentor of yours and client. Yep.
Ken tries to gut me.
Yeah. Ken, I got so jealous when she was like, I think Ken, like she shed a tear. I'm like, you got a tear out of her? I like go off on her. She's just in there blinking like whatever. But I think that like your mentor finds you working. Like it's not necessarily, you didn't go up to Ken and say, or his wife Colette and be like, mentor me. It's like they see you trying so hard and they're like, Tavia,
just do it this way.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh.
Yeah. So I tell people, if you're on the hunt for a mentor, get out there, get busy. Someone's going to spy you. And that's pretty much how people have just like wrapped their arms around me and like claimed me. Like she's out here kicking butt. I want to be there for her. I want to make sure she knows this. And to this day, like all the different people around me, all the different business owners, so many people are looking out for me and helping me and guiding me and giving me the advice that I may not necessarily love, but that I'm so grateful for, because how else would I have known, had that person not taken the time. I think a lot of us I'm still new in business in comparison to some of my friends who, have been making, I think one of the people that I look up to was like, I've been making over $1 million for 20 years. You like, you might know some things, it's like understanding how new I still am and how new we are, and never think that like be an eternal student, a student for life. You never have all the answers, and it's not and there are still things that you can learn from those with less experience who are younger than you. There's still a lot of things that I'm learning from young people, a lot of things that I learned from you, a lot of things that I'm just picking up. And so you have to be open to learning from everyone and not just be looking for the person who's balling or the person who you think has the life that you want. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be a CEO. But that's that. Did you have some more?
And do not confuse stubbornness with strength.
That is her. Those are the words she's going to leave you with. Do not confuse being stubborn as being strong. Yeah. That's such a great lesson.
And you said this already, just empty your cup and be open to learning, because chances are they're smarter than you.
Chances are a lot of people are very smart. I always say this, empty your cup is similar to my thing where I like to say, keep your hands open. So a lot of people are walking around with clenched fists ready to punch someone because they're tough and strong. But what can get in your hand if it's constantly balled up in a fist pounding on people? Nothing. You're afraid to open your hand because you're worried that somebody's going to take something out of it. You don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want to be taken for a fool. But guess what? with that hand open, more people are going to drop things in. And if they drop 100 in and somebody takes 2 or 3, that's still more than you would have gotten with a closed, clenched fist. So stubbornness is not strength. Be open. Quiet your ego. Get busy. And we hope you enjoyed these home design tips. Tavia, where can everyone can find you? You're on Instagram, 2 places. This is how you know I'm the boss of her. She's sitting here. I'm like, I know where you are, but you tell them where you are. I'm sorry.
At Forbes Masters.
She's at Forbes Masters on Instagram.
And at Tavia Forbes.
And at Tavia Forbes on Instagram.
I think we're on Snapchat as Forbes Masters.
On Snapchat as Forbes Masters.
And you can visit the website,
which is
ForbesMasters.com.
Boom, boom. Holler at Tavia all over the Snap. Try to get her out. I'm trying to get her on Instagram more. So write her, snap her, message her, show her what you're doing, because she loves seeing your work.
I do.
Do not be fooled. She's quiet, but she's like, oh, I love that. And
you can ask for advice.
And ask for advice. She answers questions, and I'll speak for her because I like to.
Clearly.
Is that nothing excites her more than what she's doing. Like, this is a person who is completely in alignment with who she is. She is following her dreams. She loves to see this stuff. She loves to answer the questions. Hit her up. She's the nicest, most trustworthy human being I have ever met. And I tell her that all the time. Tavia Forbes is the most trustworthy human being walking the planet. That is why I choose
the whole planet.
Yes, that's why I choose to mentor you, and that's why I'm hard on you when I'm like, that's not who you are. What are you doing? We all know that you're trustworthy, fool. What are you doing?
Stop playing.
Stop playing. Anywho, thank you guys. Hit me up, mytaughtyou.com. Toodles.